Papa. You don't have to wait to showcase all that, because I'm pretty sure you guys have left the video by now if you are gonna go see the movie. But for those of y'all that are sticking around now, about to hear all of our spiel, it's time to get into the bad.
Victory screech!
Which, again, I'm gonna be a gentleman and let the love of my life go first. You first, Papa.
No, thank you so much, baby. So, to get into the bad, and I probably will go into a few spoilers, so anyone doesn't want to hear spoilers, click off now. Yeah, just in case there's some still struggling there. The biggest disappointment and the biggest drawback for me in this movie was how they took Wanda and how I thought they dumbed her down. Yeah, I feel like with her character, there is so much more in depth they could have gone with her. Yeah, and I feel like what they did with WandaVision, they stretched out to the very thinnest they could, like an elastic band, till it snapped. Yeah, and I don't like they did that. Yeah, for what I've read on the research I've done on the Scarlet Witch and Wanda's character, because I've been doing a lot of research on her, is that she is more than just a three-dimensional character. She does have a lot that you could get from this character and just take on and do so much with her. Yes, I do think that in places very confusing, but at the same time, it opens up just so much that you could do. The fact that these films are dumbing her down just pisses me right off. Because the actress that plays her is stunning. I think she's the right pick. I think she's a brilliant actress. I could not imagine anyone doing her character any better. But the whole thing of her being, and for anyone that's not surprised by this, the main villain in this film kind of threw me. And it was, and in a way, okay, for the women out there in the audience, don't freaking shun me for this, but I think it's a stupid reason why she was the main villain. I mean, she wanted to get back to her kids, so she was willing to fuck up the entire universe to get back to them. Like, technically, in technical terms, if you want to go through the comics of what I've read, and like me and my baby have discussed earlier, these kids ain't fucking real, technically. They really ain't. And it was all fabricated by what she wanted with Vision from WandaVision. It's the illusion of what she felt she was missing, and now she wants that illusion back because illusion is much more powerful for her than her everyday life. And there is a going back in time with certain professors and that have done it, where they're saying that some people get so wrapped up in the life that they wanted that they are never satisfied with the life they have. And there is a scene in this where she actually does say that when she goes to sleep and thinks of her kids, she's in heaven, she's having the life she wants, but when she wakes up, this is her nightmare. And there's been tests and done over the years of actual experiments of people going through that. Yeah, but I don't think this film experienced or went through it enough. Yeah, and this is coming from someone who researches everything. Another thing I don't like is the fact that there was multiple versions of Doctor Strange, but they didn't flush them out enough. There was one version right near the end where it was like, okay, I think this should have been the film and drawn more on that character. Yeah, I mean, the fact that you only have one of the evil versions of Doctor Strange in for about, I think, 10 minutes, I was just like, that sucks. That absolutely fucking sucks. There could have been so much potential with that alone.
9 minutes, 47 seconds.
So, and it was, I was near, okay? I was near, give me credit. But it was the whole freaking thing of so many times through the movie, you see missed opportunities of where they could have done better, and they just dropped the ball. Yeah. So, and yeah, I'm really disappointed with the characters not being flushed out enough. If the characters were trying to be flushed out, they dumbed them down. And how I believe that you got a lot of fluff during the movie. So, and my way of saying fluff is that they drew things out that didn't need to be drew out, and you were just sitting through something that just did not need to be explained. It it just felt like you were just being led down a long, long pipe hole of being told, "Oh, we're gonna dumb it down, and this is this, and this, and this, and this, and this," and then they got to an action scene which didn't even last less more than what 10 minutes, 15, maybe 20 max, and it was like we've gone through a 2.5, like nearly 2 hour film for what amused me for about 15 minutes. I I'm so glad I didn't actually pay to go see this movie and that I was able to see it for free, because if I paid to see this movie, I would have been demanding my money back so fast. The writing in this now, I'm going to go into that. I've seen worse, but this storyline was so goddamn predictable from minute 1 to minute 0. And I don't like going into films where I can see it as being predictable by the writing. As a writer myself, you're supposed to do suspense, you're supposed to do gripping content, you're supposed to bring characters to be 3D. You are the one that writes the character, but then makes it to come off the page. If you cannot do that, yeah, then learn how to write better. Yeah, because these characters were not amusing to me in this movie. Doctor Strange, the first movie, was much better for me than the second one, and dropped the ball. I am so pissed off with the writing here. Whoever they had for writing, go back to the goddamn chalkboard and relearn your skills, because you dropped the ball so many times in these films. And there were so many facts in these movies that were wrong. Yeah. So, and were twisted into making them what they weren't. I'm not the biggest Marvel fan, but I even picked up on that. And I'm not the biggest fan. So if I picked up on that, Marvel fans, when you go, you're probably going to be a bit pissed off. But that's just me saying. Now I'm going to quieten down for a minute, because I could go on and let my honey have his opinion, because he's probably going to go into a lot more than I am.
Thank you. Alright, so here's the whole beef and the skinny, guys. I know I'm going to probably make a whole video about why I hate the Marvel Cinematic Universe. It's actually in the works, by the way. But here's like the crux about what I'm seeing as a big problem with Phase 4, which kind of goes back into what my beloved was saying about the writing. It's not just in the fact that it didn't pave out well, because Michael W., I can't remember your last name, I just remember your first name was Michael. The thing of it is, Michael, like many other writers for Marvel Studios, kind of wants to try and make the MCU the brand new Marvel Prime. Like, it's become such a huge icon that the arrogance of Marvel's film division is trying to say that the comics are so past its prime, the new prime is the films. Like how they tried saying that the cartoon verses were a lot better than the comics, and therefore the comics are no longer prime. They're just the new 616, the same way that the MCU is the new 616. When that is a bigger issue, because as a writer myself, as you guys have seen my own shows, to try and disregard a legacy is the biggest issue of an insult, because we didn't really start seeing and saying anything about the MCU being 616 until the Far From Home movie with Spider-Man, where it was just kind of like, Stan Lee's dead, we can't really get him to do a cameo, so what do? We then just have it be in every film talking about the multiverse. We say that this is 616, we say that this is Marvel Prime, and then it's like, for anyone that ever felt alienated, you then made it more prevalent to where it's like the comic book fans hate the movie fans. Comic book fans are going to diss on all this a lot fervently than the movie fans try and defend it and say that the comics have no grounds on it. You open the gate for more criticisms when you don't understand how legacies work, is one problem with the writing. The second one is that, and again, guys, this is going to be a long tangent about the plot. It's all of a bunch of stories that would have worked in 3 separate films to make an even grander film down the line. First thing, the main first plot we have is that the multiverse has First thing we have is that the multiverse has a brand new anomaly, that being America Chavez. America also comes from 2 moms that are in the Utopia parallel. The Utopian parallel is a huge thing where you have to read the comics to understand, and even then it's weird. But having America exist but not exist as a Schrodinger figure is a huge element that you have to drag in for world building that doesn't need it to be just sandwiched in as her as a MacGuffin because of what we're going to get into for the other 2 plots. Where her now just being dragged in, she's obviously going to meet a lot of figures in Marvel that's going to help her reshape stuff to then enter the MCU. You then have it to where she's confused, disoriented, and really needs a figure where the film could have ended for America's introduction with her meeting Steven in the middle of his own movie, which then would have tied into another picture. Stephen Strange is still unable to accept the fact that since he came back from the snap, I'm not calling it the fucking blip, get over it, Marvel fans, and he's just still trying to come to terms with a lot of stuff. Christine has moved on. He has no purpose because Sorcerer Supreme's title has gone to somebody else. Fill in the blanks about who it went to, bitch. And after all this stuff is being said and done, he's haunted by these weird visions about other versions of him. Where is all this stuff coming from? Where is this whole stuff being derailed? It brings into a lot of stuff that could have been explored a lot, where he could have been intertwined with a lot of different Stephen Stranges. Maybe Defender Stephen Strange, or Midnight Sun Stephen Strange, actual 616, aka Marvel Prime's Doctor Strange, and then going into one of the 4 evil Doctor Stranges. Bringing it all together as like the multiverse does need its Sorcerer Supreme back on the throne to then have him end up meeting with America Chavez, who can help him navigate stuff better. And then the third big plot, which is Wanda not really coming to terms with the fact that her children aren't supposed to be alive and she needs direction, she needs guidance. Because, firstly, for anyone that's an MCU fan who only watched WandaVision and doesn't understand the nuances, the whole entire element that is Billy and Tommy is tied to hell. Hell being across all the multiverse. No matter where you're inhabiting, no matter what you're doing, the denizens of hell have a huge impact. Along with the Dark Grimhold, or the Dark Grimoire, or whatever you want to call it, it's a grimoire from darkness that comes from hell. That is also tied into why Billy and Tommy exist, because they're not natural-born children. They're hell shards. Everything about them existing means that if they existed for one small moment because of hex magic, that means that they're supposed to be the avatars for something a lot larger and a lot more chaotic, which opens a lot of stuff up narratively. Where the film could have been, she's reading the Darkhold, she wants to get a lot more closure about Billy and Tommy, but she's missing something. What could she be missing? She can't go to Monica Rambeau because she's off doing the second Captain Marvel movie in space. She can't go see Blue Sentinel or the MCU's version of Reed Richards in their main universe because they're not prevalent. Who could she go to? She goes to her husband, a Vision, who desperately needs somebody to help him make sense about why he's alive again. You then open up a lot more sway and a lot more buildup because it's two lost souls trying to make sense of a lot of stuff that doesn't make sense in a weird, chaotic world. They need each other to then try to bridge the gap to understand where to go from here because Wanda is still conflicted, but she needs Vision. Vision is lost, but he knows he needs Wanda. It's a symbiotic relationship that could work very well between the two of them, where they could then understand that with the Dark Grimhold, it does open up stuff to the multiverse. It could do stuff to where she wants to meet Billy and Tommy in another place, another plane, but sees that there's more of her. It gives her conflict and a lot of different stuff that needs resolution. And who could they go to that helps them understand the multiverse because of magic? A la Stephen fucking Strange. But will it be the one that they're talking to, or will they be manipulated and turned against the other Avengers by a different Stephen? Which then we go into a real version of the Multiverse of Madness. I came up with that whole plot in the span of 5 fucking minutes, where you have 3 different movies where you can then hire in multiple different actors, have a bunch of other stuff for promotional reasons to make sure it goes a lot more swimmingly. You have a lot more directors that want to sink their teeth into something to be a lot more prevalent, and you have an even grander story where we can even have Steven meet his future wife of Clea, the one witch that can match him not only in skill set, but him magic bar set, where he can then have a lot more growth and development to be even more powerful than what he would have been by the end of the film. Even bring in Mordo back in to be a secondary antagonist where Clea has to fight off against her future love interest's own enemy to prove her worth to the team, and then you have another bridging effect of senior heroes training the next up-and-coming heroes. And then you also have the multiverse actually in peril to where you have other characters that have existed in their own universes coming in to understand that they need to have a symbiotic network so that they can combat what happens next, which could be numerous enemies that outclass Thanos. Which, again, I just came up with not only a few seconds after something I came up with 5 minutes ago. That's something that Marvel could have done writing-wise that would have blown everyone out of the water, would have pretty much made Phase 4 a lot more developed than what it needed to be. But instead, we just had regression for a lot of characters where Steven already knew he was going to give up Christine. Wanda already knew she had to give up her children because of what she put other people through. We already had these character revelations, but to rehash it for another film just to introduce a new person, that doesn't instill a lot of confidence into new viewership. It makes it more haphazardly lazy because you don't want to believe in the fact that your viewership is going to want to evolve with you. To rehash the same thing just means that you're afraid to do something brand new. Not something that's supposed to be championed with millions of dollars in the bank for your budget. It only echoes that you don't know what you're doing anymore. But I'm going to pause on writing because we've already talked a great deal about that. So let's go into actual character, which I'll let my beloved talk about.
Okay. The character development in these movies were predictable. So you could tell the flaws in where they went. You could tell that there was no... In my eyes, I felt like there was no proper respect for the characters that they had drawn into this. I just feel that it was a babbled mess, that they were like sitting around a table and going, okay, well, this, and this. Okay, that will work. That'll do. Just plait it together. Bim, bam, bomb, done. No, I'm a person that goes into serious research when it comes to anything. So, and if I'm not even the biggest fucking fan of this franchise, and I'm seeing the flaws as my baby is more of a bigger fan than I am, I can't even imagine the amount of crap that's going to be coming out of other people's mouths about this. Like I said about character development, I believe that Wanda's character was actually dumbed down. Yeah. So, and the fact of where they're saying that her alter ego came out more and that she was closed so in herself and that she couldn't do, like, no, because in WandaVision, they're one in the same, and she's learned to deal with that and become connected with it. So that was no longer an alter ego of hers because they united as one. So how did this film now switch it to actually go, oh no, it's an alter ego? Yeah, and we're just going to run with that. We're going to act like she's trapped within her own psyche. Like, no. That was dealt with in the frickin' TV series. Why have you brought up an old topic to pick it to the bone like a dog and then oh god, and then just this is what I'm saying, the writing for characters stretched out this thing so wide it snapped like an elastic band. So because even I was confused at times thinking, this has been dealt with, why have you brought this back up? Why have you regurgitated the same shit? The whole thing of there was kind of an underline of Doctor Strange dealing with his own personal shit in this movie as well. And I don't believe that was addressed properly. I believed it was just like an underlying kind of story which could have been brought to the surface a bit more. Because if they made Wanda's concerns as a character prevalent in this movie, then why the fuck couldn't they have it? Like, we're going down that route, you might as well do everyone. I'm glad that we had a bit more of I think his name's Wu in this. Wong. I'm glad we had a little bit more of him. Okay. I'm glad we had a little bit more of him, but even with the parts that included him were goddamn predictable. There was no suspense with any character in this movie, and I don't know if I'm going to be the only one on this, but the America character that was brought into this, I found her quite goddamn dull. I found the character really dull. I don't feel like there was any character. I believe that she was just a figure that was stuck in as a way of going, well, we need something to draw the attention to make this movie, so you know what, we're just going to use her. That's what I felt. I really did not feel any connection to her. In my eyes, I wouldn't give a fuck if she died or lived, because there was nothing that drew me to her. She wasn't wrote in a way that would make you feel for this character, except for just seeing her as easy slaughter for when everything happened bad. So there was nothing in this movie I rooted for. I didn't root for the writing, I didn't root for the characters, because it was all poorly done. If you're gonna have someone as a main focus of a film, you have to draw into that, and you have to give not only character, but you have to give more purpose to why. Yeah, so there's more of a connection from the audience that is listening or watching, yeah, to want to get emotionally involved. I didn't want to get emotionally involved in this because there was nothing to get emotionally involved on. They brought you a little flashback to this girl's life where she used her powers for the first time and she thought she killed her parents, yeah, in what you see as a flashback from a multiverse they went into. But that's it. You don't get anything else that connects you to this character. You get nothing that draws you in. There's nothing there that really makes you go, oh, I really care about you. No, I'm the kind of person that was sitting there thinking, I want to kick your face in right now because I'd get more character out of you in with blood all over your face than I do seeing you on the screen toddling from universe to universe. I sound like a right bitch, but it's true. There was nothing there. Nothing there for Mr. Strange. Nothing there for her. Nothing there for Wanda. Nothing there for Wong. Nothing there for the society. Nothing was there at all. The only thing that made this film worth watching was the Carnage candy, and that was about it. So I'm going to let you go on now.
Well, I mean, I've already dragged Steven and Wanda in the whole writing, so let me at least talk about the other characters for this film, because we are in the spoiler territory. we're going to talk about the Illuminati. The Illuminati has already been heavily theorized about in the MCU ever since Iron Man 2, where people were just like, when are we going to get the Illuminati? When are we going to get the Illuminati? When are we going to get Iron Man to assemble all of the Illuminati? Everyone was waiting for this to happen, where we wanted to have Black Bolt, we wanted to have Namor, we wanted to have Charles Xavier, we wanted to have Dr. Stephen Strange, and we wanted to have Iron fucking Man himself. The OG Illuminati was going to be the ultimate thing for a lot of people for characterization, because they hold so much power as being prevalent white savior caricatures that would have been pretty good to deconstruct and then see them be super vulnerable because of their own arrogance. But because they ran out of a contract with RDJ, they didn't know what to do with Tom Cruise being a variant of Tony Stark, and a lot of other stuff they left on the ground room floor. We now have this Illuminati that we saw in one of the multiverses in the Multiverse of Madness, which is Mordo taking over for Doctor Strange, who died, killing Thanos, using a method that they kind of glossed over in the Infinity War saga, because Kevin Feige is a terrible executive producer that kind of signs off on anything as long as it's the rule of cool. We had Captain Sexy Ass Carter, because Haley Atwell can do no wrong. We had Photon, which people now call Captain Marvel, which was Maria Rambeau. We had, of course, Reed Richards, played by John Krasinski, which many people remember from A Quiet Place and from The Office. And we also got Sir Patrick Stewart returning as Charles Xavier, while also getting the actor from Marvel's short-lived series of The Inhumans to come back as Black Bolt to be the complete thing of the Illuminati. As it stood, though, for characters that have a lot of history in Marvel because of one incident in particular that kind of caused almost the end of the world because of their own arrogance and stupidity of a white savior archetype, them being introduced in this movie was a waste. Like, we didn't even get a lot with Reed Richards, because many people don't even know about the Fantastic Four. They're just like, oh, John Krasinski in a beard. Holy shit. And he can stretch? Oh my lord, what is he gonna... And he's dead. We have Black Bolt, who is a weird creature that lives on the moon that can't talk because a single whisper could eradicate someone into atoms. Oh my lord, his powers must be incredible. What is he gonna... And he's dead. We have Haley Atwell being Captain Carter, who put up a decent fight not only in the What If series, that is another review I'm not doing, and put up a decent fight in the movie. Surely she's gonna be a champion to be the next Captain America, and she's dead. We have Maria Rambeau, who was just the token black friend in Captain Marvel 1. Surely, because she has powers in this that she unlocked for some weird reason, she's gonna be the pinnacle of... And she's dead. We have Charles Xavier, who was part of the biggest push for superhero movies, kicking it off for almost 10 plus years, where if it wasn't for the push of Blade, the X-Men films, Spawn and whatnot, we would not even have a lot of superhero movies. He's a pinnacle, he's an icon, he deserves our respect to be... And he's dead.
Yeah, he was one of the most fucking intelligent people in the film. Like, the way that they kill him, he should have fucking seen coming a mile off. This is the thing that's so goddamn, like, what the fuck?
But you guys are getting my point. Character fodder is the name of the game in this film. They don't care about meeting fan expectations. They don't care about meeting what you yourself want as a writer or aspiring film director. It's all about character fodder, which for many people, if you take a lot of screenwriting classes or you hang around a lot of film studies or you make your own stuff, when you make cannon fodder, or just character fodder to be a lot more fancy and a lot more direct, you end up kind of isolating what could be a beautiful measure for anyone that wants to get invested in your, I don't know, property, franchise, whatever you want to do. Introducing all these characters that have a lot of meat to them, a lot of great story potential that you yourself want to see get flushed out more and more on the silver screen, to then get murdered off because of the rule of cool doesn't make it a good characterization. It makes it lazy. It makes it seem like you don't care about what your fans wanted in the first place. You yourself just wanted to see what would happen if you introduced a lot of important characters, killed them off with what is popular for what they came to see on the screen, and then just act as if you have nothing of consequence. You have nothing that would scream that maybe you need these characters around more because maybe they have more meat to them. Maybe they have another narrative that could have been explored more. They could have done more. They could have done anything to be a lot more understanding and a lot more built into the story that really could have gone miles upon miles ahead to be a lot grander in the grand scheme of things. Could have been a lot more intelligent, could have been a lot more flushed out, built a lot more of a bigger franchise, built a lot more of anything. But to eliminate that, to just be like, here's some gore, here's some slaughterfest, here's one of the funniest kills, by just removing Black Bolt's fucking mouth to have him just kind of kill himself.
Oh god, that was great.
Was it funny? Yes. Was it necessary? No.
No, but it was funny as shit.
It was funny as fuck, but it wasn't necessary. To do that as your measure, to be like, this is gonna be our big film to flush out what is and isn't gonna be your phase of production, is why I've always stated to people why I keep stating what I'm doing is phase one for my other company of Writerscope Studios. Link in the description below. I am only stating what I'm gonna be talking about in that regard in a future video, but all I'm gonna say is this. When you're making a phase, it has to have a point, which I'm gonna get to by having another segue later, but let's just have that be the nugget. It has to have a point. Where if you want to keep going on character buppa, we could, but I'm gonna probably change up the topic if that's okay with you.
Yeah, change it.
Okay, now let's just get into overall stuff, which is just overall point one of this being an entry into phase 4, which I would say ladies first, but Buppa, would you allow me first for this one?
Of course, go right ahead, baby.
Okay. So everyone has been trying to hit me up every now and again, just trying to have me watch a lot of stuff in the MCU because of my love of Shang-Chi, my love of Black Panther, my love of Doctor Strange. If you guys did not know, me and my little sister Jasmine did the first review of Doctor Strange, the movie. I loved it. I want to redo it with her. Jazz, hit me up if you're ever interested. But when it comes down to it, when I just sit back and I'm looking at how the phases have painted themselves into a lot of corners to where they had to make plot contrivances, to where now we're here in phase 4. Everyone wants to say it's the multiverse phase. Everyone wants to say it's the brand new thing to be like, we've never seen this happen for Marvel ever, or any sort of movie in general where there's been a giant crossover of other adaptations fighting different adaptations. We've never seen this whole thing go into fruition. And then I have to sit back for a minute because this being my job, we have to then dive back into how Marvel itself has been in the forefront before this was ever even a thing. First example, 1990s Spider-Man. The actual series itself laid out the groundwork for a huge amount of different intergalactic and interdimensional events. the Secret Wars, the Spider Wars, and then going into other facets of different animated features, where there's been different crossover effects, different clones, different everything. Marvel's been doing this longer than it's had a cinematic universe, and it's even been copying other elements that have had their own cinematic universes. Anyone remember the Hallmark monsters that we've all known and loved today of Dracula versus the Wolfman, or Dracula and the Wolfman versus Frankenstein's monster? This has not only just been a small thing that's been already explored numerous times, but it's been done by numerous things in cinematic history and better. To which I kept asking my partner throughout the whole movie. I said, Bubba, what is the point of Phase 4? Because every single film, it's what's gonna be the whole thing of the multiverse? What's this whole thing for story? What's this thing with WandaVision where it's Wanda talking about the greater thing about the multiverse? What's this thing in Loki where they're talking to the man at the end of all of time and blah blah blah, being Kang the Conqueror all along, just being an amalgamation of another character? What's this in the multiverse gonna do to affect Captain America and the Winter Soldier? What's this in the multiverse gonna affect stuff with Moon Knight? What's this thing gonna affect with What If? And so forth and so on, to where it's like, okay, we get that you guys want to explore the multiverse, but here's the problem. We don't even know what you're trying to do. No Way Home, you gave us a multiverse where we had other franchises talking about what they were doing for their universes. That's great. You solved the problem. The multiverse has already been here to begin with, because not only has Marvel already had a 616 for decades, this is Marvel 199,999 canonically. That means there are over a billion other universes that are still going to invade. Are we going to touch on this point? Are we going to touch on that point? Is Marvel Prime going to be a whole thing? You're opening up a lot of questions, but not giving answers. And that's the biggest issue overall that the Multiverse of Madness is facing. You're building up something that doesn't seem to fucking happen. You're saying that the mid-credit scene where Doctor Strange meets Clea is introducing Secret Wars? That's great, but what's gonna be the fucking point? You have Kang the Conqueror running around. That's amazing. That's wonderful. Problem, what does that have to do with the Marvel Cinematic Universe at large? You already have all these other elements that are going to be about the gods. That's great. That's wonderful. You're doing world building that we wanted phases ago. Other problem. What does that have to do with the phase? You're introducing element after element, which is great, but you're failing to understand that you need to have a fucking point. And that's the biggest goddamn issue. That there is no point. This movie had no fucking point, where we had numerous story elements that we talked about in the bad sections overall, but you gave us no answers. You gave us nothing of a conclusion, and that's the first major problem. But I'm gonna let my baby talk about the rest of the problems overall on her own side of stuff.
Well, I can't deny anything that my baby said, because I do agree with it. So I do believe that this film was a waste of time. My rating on this film is going to be very low, so I'll do that at the end. But I feel like they stretched out points which didn't need to be made. Like I said earlier, yeah, they stretched out and they spent too long in the film on sections that really didn't need to be expanded that much. Yeah, so there's a lot that over the decades that have been expanded on, both comics and also films, and also, yeah, with production wise. But you're not exactly giving the fans exactly what they want. You're talking about it. You're waving things in the air, but you're still holding back. And this is what pisses me off. Now, I'm not the biggest fan of Marvel, never have been, nor have I ever been a big fan of DLC or anything like that, because my biggest fandom goes to like Aliens and Lord of the Rings and Batman and Superman. So I'm kind of more in that category than I am with Marvel or DC. But with what I know about this universe and what they're trying to create and what they're trying to do, it's like they've taken one of them dog biscuits and they're waving it in front of your face like, do you want it? Do you want it? Do you want it? Yeah, and then they don't give you it. They like take a tiny little crumb off the biscuit and say, well, that's all you're getting. Yeah. So I don't think they're being very fair. I don't think they're giving you very much. Like I said, this film was a complete waste of time. The characters in there were dumbed down. Everything about this was just so fucking predictable from minute one. I wanted there to be much more. I mean, the way that I probably would have gone with it myself, yeah, would have been where Wanda was still, like, Scarlet Witch was still goddamn hurt. She was still coming to terms and trying to find herself. Yeah, trying to piece together what happened to her. Yeah, like my baby said, went to Doctor Strange because similar powers, asked for ways of actually dealing with this and healthy ways of friendship and then so on and so on and so on. I could go so many routes with this that would have been so much more better than what we got with the movie. But to dumb the movie down even more, yeah, I'm a mother that's got hormonal issues and also I can't handle my own brain or my emotions. So I'm going to attach myself to fictional children because I have a longing for what I'll never have. So I'm just going to piss and moan and cry and bring the world down with me. Yeah. As well as you meeting other versions of yourself, Stephen. Yeah. Through the universe that you're going to just end up. So having a little bit of a bitch fit with. Yeah. Before you just crash in on yourself. Yeah. That sounds like a brilliant movie. Well done. You wanted to do something the mountains even look like shit. You accomplished it. Well done. Absolutely. Bravo. Yeah. So, but doing something that kept my interest, you didn't accomplish it. You didn't do none of it. Like, the whole fucking thing of splicing this together with a little bit of chunks that you know that people are going to want to see, but you're not doing enough to actually... So keep this going. I do not want a Doctor Strange 3. If this was shit, I cannot imagine what they're going to do with the third one. Yeah, but obviously with the way that they've ended this film, there is got to be a third one in the mix. It's going to happen. Yeah, but I don't believe they're going to give us anything we want. I believe that the third film is going to be a complete blow-up fuck mess than this one was, and this one was bad enough. Yeah, and by the way they ended it, so I would say Scarlet Witch is no more. I would say Scarlet Witch has gone bye-byes. Yeah, so, and the way that she's gone bye-byes was just so fucking stupid. Oh, I need to close what I've done, so I'm going to lift the building up and smash myself with it. Yeah, that fucking makes sense for one of the most powerfulest fucking beings on the fucking planet / universe. Yes, bravo, you're fucked up again. Yeah, so I have shits that smell better than this. Yeah, so if I go into any more, I'm just going to rant and ramble, so I'm just going to leave it there.